Hey friends, it's me, Cynthia, and Azalea. She's on the other side of the computer.
Hello.
And we are Greengirlstudios, and this is our Magic Hour Wednesday edition. Today, I'm going to show a little bit of how I like to do color mixes and color shifting. If you've ever made jewelry where you have admired the color shift, I'm going to show you that. Sometimes you can get a strand of beads where they're already like starting from dark to light. That's like a new trend that you're seeing now. I've seen it a few places. Like, where's that strand? I got this. This is amber. And look how it's like pre-graduated in the colors. Isn't that cool? It has this brown, amber, comes in all the different flavors. I think of it as like, this one's like Manuka honey. This one right here, this dark one. And it goes down to like Tupelo honey, sourwood. What's this one? This is wildflower honey.
There you go.
And then the lightest one is that honey from Alaska, that fireweed. I don't know if anyone else has had it, but I saw an Instagram ad for it, and it was like, it looked like frosting or cake drizzle or something, and I ordered it, and they said the taste profile is like cake batter. They weren't wrong. It's delicious, but then you can't get it. It's kind of weird. Oh, hello, our friends Nilda. Hello, Karen.
I want to measure your bear.
She's gonna measure my bear. You guys want to see my bear? This Azalea got this gift from me. I was telling Azalea, I said, Azalea, will you switch out the heads to my Barbie dolls? Because sometimes I get a little over enthusiastic and I just yank that head right off and I try to swap it, and unfortunately the thing breaks and then I have to fix it. Or I can beg Azalea to fix it. And I was like, Azalea, can you do this? Give me something to live for. And she was like, I have one better. And she says, do you want your gift now? And I said, yes. And so she presented me with this bear. Look how cute this bear is. It's from, the brand is called Teddy Tails. Isn't this so cute? You guys have, it is so soft. You wouldn't even believe it. Look at this little tiny bit of blush on the cheek. And then look closely into his little bear eyes. Just like a real bear with that little shine. It's so cute. It's so soft. Anyway, she saw me like looking at this real hard. This is an artist. I don't know where she's from. I did know, but I forgot. They're big in Japan. Anyways, his little nose is all fuzzy and it's got little fuzzy feet. It's so cute. I can hardly stand it. But anyway, it gives me cute aggression.
About it for weeks.
I was talking about it, and I was showing her a picture, and I was like, "Look, it comes in milk tea. This is milk tea color." And it came in like powder blue.
I remembered what you said. You said, I want this bear so bad with the round head. I like the oatmeal bear.
I know. Look at the size of it. Ah, God, I love it. And this tail, it's little, and this bear is so, it's like very firmly stuffed. It's so soft. I'm
gonna measure him.
She's measuring it. She's making him a sweater. It's adorable. So adorable. All right, friends. Let's see what's happening. If you're curious what we have on the sound right now, it is healing frequencies. I'm sure everybody's heard that study that there are certain frequencies that cause cellular regeneration to start popping. This is supposed to be that. I guess they test it somehow, you know, with electrical currents. Or I'm not sure how they test it, to be honest. I don't know. I did know because I read the study, and that information has been lost to too many podcasts, I think. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this camera around. I'm going to do this. Someday I'm going to remember to get the switcher. There's a thing called a switcher. I don't know how to use this thing called a switcher, but I'm going to have to learn. Azalea, you're on. So cute. Oh yeah, that's a good color. Tell that Star gave me that yarn, or gave Azalea that yarn.
It's kind of like a lavender pink alpaca. It's baby alpaca. I don't know why I reached forward like y'all can feel it, but you can imagine how it feels. It's very soft.
It's so soft.
It's gonna be cute. He's gonna get a little top-down raglan sweater, and I need to find a good pattern. It's not easy to find a pattern for a teddy bear that looks good, so I'm looking at baby patterns that fit.
Yeah, it's got kind of a rounded body.
Creamy, like a tiny baby.
Mm-hmm. Very small. All right. Yeah, it does have It does have a lovely little belly. And it's a good color. All right. We found this these Velux blanket at Foam and Fabric Warehouse. Tina, Azalea did not make that. That's from an artist in, I don't know where she's out of. Maybe Czech Republic, maybe Japan. I don't know. I saw it on Pinterest. Okay, so here's the kit from a couple days ago, and on Sunday I made this. So what I thought I'd show real fast, because I'm dying to wear this. I'm going to take this with me to Fresno when we're leaving on Monday. Pretty excited. Look how this just is so perfect for right in there. I'm going to nestle a little something something, so it's like this. This is the feeling. So it's kind of, it's almost like, what would you call that when it has that dip? It's like a natural dip of your, I'm going to put that on there. That's our new piece called, well, it's a phoenix, and these are the flames in case. And a phoenix, if you don't know, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows, but it's a mythological creature made famous from the Harry Potter series. Folks, when he's like, you know, he's like, I guess he's really loyal, but when he goes into the fire and explodes from death or whatever, he just is rehatched. So that's where this phrase comes from. An app I was listening to called Waking Up. And, oh, I know what I need. Oh, I'll just use these. I was going to use some, what do you call it? Do I have any of those metal seed beads handy? Those, you know, those Charlottes, you know, the ones I like.
I'm not sure about that.
You guys want to see some really fancy, expensive Charlottes? I bought these, and I told my friend, I said, you want to see the most expensive beads in the whole wide world? Now I can't find it to show you, but they're 18 karat gold Charlottes, and they're like the size of a head of a pin. And I was like, what am I doing buying these? But I bought them for my crochet necklaces. Oh well, we'll do this. This will be just as good. I got these. This will match. Oh, Kate will love it. I'll have to make her one because I was going to... Kate's necklace, she's probably not watching right now, but I'm going to show you what she's been waiting for like a year. This is the necklace I made for Kate. And I want to show this. It's so cool. No, this is not the way. Check out this. Greg carved this amber. It's from... Look at that cool glow on it. It's blue amber. This is a piece he did. But it doesn't have any kind of big inclusions. Isn't that neat? And that's a ruby. The ruby has that kind of glow. That's another ruby. You can see that. But anyway, this is the necklace that I have to put. I have been hemming and hawing over what kind of clasp to put on that. And I think what I'll do... Where do you find gold beads? I found the gold beads at... where was I? I was in Tucson, and there's several gold dealers in the Pueblo tent. I don't know if you're familiar with Tucson Gem Show, but at the Pueblo, there's several gold dealers. They're on the inside. You could probably find them from, you know, I want to say there's a guy named Taj that we see, and he has gold. So these are some, what are these? Size 11 seed beads. I guess these are those mirrored kinds. Aren't those pretty? I took these out of this. I've been working on this. This is a snake. This is from Jean Campbell's book. Or it's Jean Cox. What's it say? Jean Campbell Cox. Bead Crochet Snakes. You guys have seen that book. That's Jean's. So I'm learning to do it, and I, for the life of me, cannot make a good... Look at my join. It's so horrendous right in there. You can see it. Ah, it's pretty easy to do one, like, without increases or decreases, but when you start getting the decrease, it can be kind of clumsy. And that's where mine was. It's a little clumsy. All right, where'd that necklace... Okay, I put that necklace down. It's on my list of things to do. So what I'm going to do right now is remember, I don't know if you saw this, but I left this tail. Here's why. So now this has been stiffened with this fray check. So I did this like a couple days ago. This is where I started. And I put all of these guys on here and then we knotted them. If you want to see that, you can watch our replay. But I might do a quick demo of it too. So this makes it, when you stiffen it up with the fray check, you can, I know my friend Kalite on here has mentioned a couple times to use different glues, but just use plastic to cover your fingers. I usually do it like this. I have it like this. And you don't have to do it this way, of course, because it makes your hands messy. But I run it like this, and I stiffen that up, and then dingle-dangle it off the edge of the table, and let it dry to make a needle. So I'm going to put on here, let's see. I'm going to use this as my clasp, but I'm going to put this one on this side. It's going to be like, I want to make a loop. So I'm going to hurry up and make this. I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible. I told Azelle, I was like, hey, let's talk about color shifting today. A couple days ago when we were talking about this. And she was like, yeah, that's a good idea because people like color shift. And let's show some of my tips and tricks for color shifting. Boy, this is hard. I should have done this ahead of time so I didn't have to do it now. But it's not hard to get those on there. What 2 threads did you use? Nancy's asking. Nancy, I used 2 threads of Ceylon or Eslon. I don't know if there's any difference. I've never seen any difference that is in my mind right now. They look the same to me. It might be the size. I'm not 100%. If someone out there knows exactly what it is besides being like brand, then you can drop that information into the comments if you know offhand. If it's like, you know, maybe it's like Beetlons. I don't know if they have a brand of it. I actually don't know who makes that. I know there's a few companies that make nylon. I like nylon because I've been knotting for a long time and making necklaces, and for the longest time I used all natural fibers like hemp and silk. And one, they're readily available, especially cotton. You can use crochet cotton to make these, and they come in beautifully dyed, variegated tones. The only drawback to using that type of thread is that it can fray and break because it's not as strong, and it stretches. That's the other thing. They stretch and they can break, especially silk. Silk is strong for what it is, and it can last a really long time. But the bead holes is what will wear that down and cause it to break. All right. So you could, in theory, you could just leave it, make a loop. That's pretty. That looks good. You could do that very easily. And I don't know, I have to decide. So there's a couple things. You can knot in between each seed bead. That will lengthen. If you don't have very many seed beads, that would be what I would do to stretch it out and give it a little, it would give it a little bit of a different texture. You'll see what I'm talking about. So to knot that, I'm going to go back to this point here, give myself a little space, and I'm going to knot from this end because I don't need to drag the rest of them through. Yeah, I know, the lawns. They have different names. They don't have them, as far as I know. I don't think they're numbered. I think they're just like small, medium, and large. Or it's like fine and medium. I think they have it. Fine is this. This is fine, or considered fine. This is standard, and this is what I've been using on that snake that I was just making. You see how thick that is? That's pretty thick. And you can use this, but you know, when you go single ply, the danger to that, not really danger, I guess is the wrong word, but you can't get as tight of a knot and as easily, like look how, so I'm going to twist this, I'm going to put this and make just a simple knot, bringing everything through the loop. And I get right up on that bead, bring it down, and before I tighten it and pull it, I pull the two legs apart right here. See that? And there is no, that is right up in there. And it gives it a better texture, I think. Micro cord is the other one. Thanks, Pat. That's the other one I was thinking of. You get a little bit of a different look. It's a little more fluid. And by fluid, I mean it has a better drape. I feel like. I mean, that's arguable. People can argue that and say, you know, without it, it's more like the drape is different. Because it's almost more like beading on soft flex. Now, beading this small is a real challenge, I feel like, because it's easy to get the beads on, but you need your optivisors. Get those optivisors on, protect your vision. If you're doing any fine work, it's worth it to get it. Reading glasses are okay. These can fit right over. It's like a headband style. Oh, our friend Anne Gardan. I was just looking last night. I was looking at my beads, and I had this little pile of Anne's enameled bead caps, and they're in the shapes of flowers. And I was like, I'm going to make me some earrings with these. But I didn't get a chance to. They would look really killer to make like a fruit. So I'm right up on there. I didn't tighten all the way. I tighten it by doing this. Pull across. And I also, you'll notice there's two different thicknesses. Oh, thank you, Donna. She figured it out. Ceylon is manufactured by Caravan Beads, and Eslon is manufactured by Beadsmith. Okay, thank you. I bet they're made at the same like factory, because they look the same to me. There's also another one that looks twisted, and I bought some from a gal on Etsy, and then I went and found some, and it was in a sewing department. That's where I got it. It wasn't even in beading. It wasn't manufactured. It wasn't marketed as a beading type thing. I want to say it was sewing. It could have been for musical instruments, weirdly enough. They use them for woodwind and I guess wrap, something like they said for reed wraps. And I was like, oh, interesting. But it had a different texture. It almost looked like tiny, tiny rope. And I got some of that to dye, and it was fun. They'll all dye and it'll work the same. It's just a different texture. Okay, did I do two? It's so small I can barely see it. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the difference. Okay, so here's, and then frequently pull too. Not like you're going back. There's no going back from, like, if it was a gap right here, I'd be like, oh well, I guess I'm gonna have to get a bead cover to put over that, because I'm not going back that far. You can't, basically you can only unpick so far with knotting. It's just too hard. So this is the look when you do not knot between. It's smoother, but it seems like the bend in it is not quite as, you know. And then there, you can see this is a little bit more, I don't know. I think it just looks, it's more decorative for sure. Although I will say, knotting this, I don't know if I can knot this the whole time. I'm going to have to hurry up, because you know what? This kind of knotting takes forever. And I did a necklace, and I was like, I'm going to have to charge like $100 for this, because I've already been working on this for a couple of hours now. And that's not even factoring in the beads. And it did take forever. But it made a really beautiful necklace, so I think it was worth it. I used some, what you call it, I think, hessonite garnets. I made a necklace for Andrew with hessonite garnets. micro beaded all the way down, and it was like a 24 inch. It took me half the day to make. Stringing it's a piece of cake. Knotting it's easy too, but it is, you know, when it's this small, it's kind of a production to knot it. I'm kind of tempted, because I don't want to be doing this because I've already been going for 20 minutes. I wanted to talk about the color shift, so what I'll do, what do you think? That's not long enough. What I'm trying to do is make a loop long enough to go around this piece here. Let's see. As you can see, knotting small is not, there's always a trade-off. If you're going to knot big, I did this knotting probably in the same time that I did this. It's just the trade-off. You're still making the same amount of knots, I think, if you were to count it. Because the action is the same. Whether or not the beads are very large doesn't really play into it. If anything, it could take a little bit longer because they're harder to see. Okay, see, it's getting a little more difficult coming into the area where I've used where it's glued together. It looks pretty good. So we have a little bit, look, it's about I don't know, about an inch or so. Part of me is like this. Maybe I'll do this number. Does that look terrible? You see the difference. Which do you think looks better? This part to do it completely, or the one with the knots? Because I kind of want to do this. I want to cheat. I know what Azalea would say. She would say, just do it correctly. You know, just do it right, you know. But in, like, for time, the time it takes. I guess it doesn't take that much time. Just work faster, right? Okay, I'm going to get the lead out, as they say. Half and half is cool. I like that. Half and half, you know. I don't know if anyone would even notice. I'm making it for myself, so what I will do, and what I'm going to do is, since this is taking me a minute, and I need probably another, say, 1/4 of an inch to clear that bead, maybe this much more. Let me see. You need, when you're making these, you have to clear the whole shebang, the width of your button. This isn't a button, but you get the idea. So I need about another 1/4 of an inch. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move to this side and put this button on so you can see how that goes. So sometimes when I'm making these, I will do some moves that would be familiar if you have ever done any macrame. Okay, here's a macrame knot. This is easy. So usually you can change the look by changing how, if you go under or overhand. So if you pick a knot, just stick with that and be consistent. So if you go through and you're going under, do that the whole way, because if you change it, you're going to get a different pattern. And there's a bunch of books on the different kinds of patterns. Like Kate shows one where on one side you do this and you go under, and if you do that, you just have to stick with it. And then the next side you go the other way, like you're pulling it up from one side then the other, like this strand's coming through, and then the next side that's on top, and that gives you kind of a flat knot. So here's it, if you can see this. Now this side is on top and going under. And here's what it looks like when you go in a little tighter. I don't know, can you even see that? It's so fine. So on this, it really, in actuality, that isn't that important. But if you do it that way where I was just showing you, it almost looks like a rope. The other way, if you go consistently the same direction, you get kind of a neat spiral. And it's so small you can't really tell, so it's not that big of a deal to switch it up. I mean, in theory, you could just keep, you know, it doesn't matter. But if you're doing a big macrame piece, you could see it. So you'd have to pay attention. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple more, just so it's not right on top of that bead. I just wanted like a few millimeters, so it's not just, you know, sitting right there on top of that little bead. So I can't count how many of those are there, it's too small to see, but it looks like I did maybe 4 or 5 knots. It's hard to tell. Okay, let's see what it looks like. These are probably not on the website. That sounds about right for me. Okay, so I made that pretty big, so I need a stopper bead. Okay, where's a stopper? Something small. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Maybe, oh, we'll just use one of these. It's right here. Let's see if I can get that through. So here's the reason number, I don't know how many, of why you want to keep some of the fray check ends intact. You could go in, I don't know why I chose this dark one. It's hard to see the hole. That's too small, I can't see it. Alright, I'll find a different one. Almost ashamed to put this real pretty sunstone in the behind there. Maybe I'll get this one. I might burn them together to make them sit right. Okay, I'm going to burn these together. I don't want to wait. Okay, so the other benefit to nylon is that you can melt it together. So I'm going to quickly do that. Okay, I was trying to melt them together. There, well. Close enough, right? Where are those little scissors? Here we are. Oh, thank you. Angela says, I love this program. Thank you.
This program.
Oh, Kim says, hi from rainy Wilmington, NC. You know what? It's not raining here. Today was warm. Greg and I went for a bike ride this morning, and it was warm. Alright, I made it too bunchy. It's like I'm being thwarted today. I'm being thwarted at every angle with my bead choices. Keep looking around like something's gonna appear. Because you never know in this house. I need something to like go underneath. It doesn't have such a... That I didn't... Oh, one of these will work. Yeah, why not? A gold-plated, this isn't the gold, 18 karat gold. These are just gold plate. What a good use. Let me see if I can get that in there. Oh, so close. And this is why I leave the tails. This is why, because if you leave the tail, you don't have to sit here and play this game, because you know I'm too lazy to get more fray check and wait for that to dry. Now, I don't know if lazy is the right word for that, but, you know. Dang it. Okay, I found another box of beads. Let's see what I have in here. Something with a big hole. Come on. That's too big of a hole. Oh, this'll work. And what about spit? I think it'd make it too limp. Okay, here, one of these silver ones will do the trick. And I just flicked it. Oh, here it goes. So this Friday, we are going to do a Sundance. We're calling it a Sundance party. Well, I just did that nodding basically for nothing. Because it's exactly the width of my knots. Oh, thank you, thank you, Angela. She says yours is more than a mere broadcast, connective experience. I don't know. That sounds good though. All right, so I did that so this wouldn't be right up on top of this bead here. So it's kind of like this. Tropical Storm Debbie. Debbie. I'm just going to go ahead and break down and go ahead and get that freight check out. All right, so we're going to see it in action so I don't have to sit here and fight for my life to get that to work. All right, I'm only going to do an inch or so because I just need it to go through this bead. So I'm going to make this into a needle twisted. Just like that. See? And I'll cut that little nugget off at the top because that's not helping. That's actually hindering. Okay, we'll give it a second. And we'll go back over onto this and I will quickly knot this. And in the meantime, how about we talk about some of that color shifting while I've got it here. So when I color shift, I go and I look at this. You probably already know this, but I'm just going to talk about it anyway. There's cool and warm in colors, which, you know, it's obvious. Like this is aquamarine, and the aquamarine here, it reads as like a clear neutral, right? Because it's on my hand, and it's, you can see that it's a little bit pinkish. But when you look at that, it almost looks clear because the background is a gray. So if you put it next to something that is actually clear, that's a clear. Well, it has some rutiles, but it's close enough. You can see that it's going into this clear, this more cool direction. And when I'm color shifting, one of the things that I like to do is find the colors and put them in piles. So would I say this could be a cooler or warm because it's more of a neutral. It actually has a pink shade to it, but depending on what you put with it and next to it, it can read as a more of a purpley pink. You see. Now if I go on this side, say, and I'm color shifting this way, and I'm going to go, this is also a clear. It has a little bit of that black, it's this, but since there's more dark specks, it's reading cooler. So on that way, you can get away with things lining up that may actually have warm, right? So that has some brownish kind of tones in there. And so this is one of those weird beads that could go either, like depending on what you have next to it, it can go in either direction, except I wouldn't put it next to this. I'll show you what I would do. Like this brown is more of a, it's a warm brown, but it has a kind of a bluish sheen. See that sheen? Reads as a cool. So in theory, you could go either direction, but depending, again, what you put next to it will affect how it will read altogether. I'm going to just show for the browns and how some of these are kind of actually on a neutral scale. These are all kind of neutrally, very neutrally, except for this, of course. That's not neutral. That's a really delicious citrine. We were looking up the facts about them, like the metaphysical facts, and it was pretty fun to go deep. It's supposed to, what was that terminology that they use? It's supposed to elevate your head chakra. I was like, do what? I was like, I need me to get some elevation on my brain chakra. I don't know what that entails exactly, but I like the sound of it. I've had this book. Let me show it. It's Love is in the Earth. It's from like 96 or something. Hand that over. I don't know if y'all have ever seen this book. Love is in the Earth. I mean, that's some pretty 70s action going on. 70s or 80s. Early 80s maybe. With all. I'm inclined to think 80s with that. But anyway, I was reading through it because there are some rando stones in here. Has anyone even heard of lanthanite?
Dad found dickite earlier.
Lamprophyllite. And then we have lapis. So there's a lot of weird ones. I was looking up some, and there's so many that... Oh, here's nephrite. We were looking for nephrite the other day. And it has the astrological signs. It's, it's fun, but... And I'm not really sure what this means. Like, it vibrates to a number 7. I'm not sure if that's, like, the hardness. But I was like, it's kind of interesting, but also a little perplexing, because I don't know what any of this really means, like how do you gauge a stone's vibration? It seems like you'd need a special tool for that. I mean, doesn't it? It seems like you'd need something that, like some kind of like Ghostbusters type tool to figure that out.
Ghostbusters type tool.
Now they make a tool that I saw this thing on Instagram somebody was doing where they were testing people's diamonds, and I was like, this is a way to cause a lot of problems, because all these people were like, I love my diamonds, and then it turns out they actually weren't diamonds, because this machine, it's like a pen, and it can test through refraction. It can only test if it's a diamond or not. It can't test like if it's a jasper or whatever, which would be super convenient. Especially, could you imagine how convenient that would be? You take it to the gem show and you're like, what's this? You don't even have to ask. You just use your pen and read it.
That'll probably exist sometime.
Yeah, someday. Somebody's going to invent that.
That's not far off, I don't think.
Oh, Pat says in numerology you can find your soul number. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really sure what that means either, so... I have a feeling that's like there's some kind of training that has to happen for that, I met this gal that was talking about Akashic records, and in my mind I was like, what is she talking about? And so later I looked it up, and it's like spirit, it's like basically past lives, if I was understanding what I was reading, and it was on a podcast, and I tell you, I was still a little confused afterward. I'm more of a simple, like when I'm looking at stones, I'm like, this one is a Mohs hardness of 7, meaning I can cut it on my lap grinder.
It sparkle good and has a pink sheen.
It sparkle good. It makes me happy when I look at it. Has a beautiful shine. All right, I think this is good. Yeah, I think that'll fit. Look at that. There we go. So it kind of looks a little... This will loosen up too. It'll look a lot better once it's had a chance to stiffen up a little. It's one just based on your birthday. Okay. Okay, I need more knots. Good, I actually had enough. You know what, Nancy says, I have a plant app and a bird app on my phone. I would love a stone app. You know what, I got a stone app, and I was pretty disappointed because I know my rocks pretty well from staring at them fairly hard all the time. And they were quoting some of the stuff on there as other things, and I was like, this app's tripping. Trying to tell me that this quartz here is a diamond. Sorry, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I was like, I wish.
Hello.
I hate it when this happens. This is one of my pet peeves. I don't know if this has ever happened when you do this and it goes over the bead. So irritating. Okay, I'm going to pull that loop over its head, the bead head, and pop it back out. And you know what? I didn't see it. I could just feel it with my fingertips like I'm a blind person. There it is. I could feel there was something wasn't right in the force. Yeah, I took it off of my thing because I was like, I can tell quartz myself, thanks. Because it was trying to tell me. And then it was trying to read nephrite jade. Like, I had a piece of jade, and I knew it was dyed, right? I could see that it was dyed. It was a piece from, like, the 80s or something. And because I also broke it to see. And it was a different color on the inside. And it was naming it as serpentine. And I was like, do what?
It's probably just like...
It's just looking at the colors and then
comparing
it.
And comparing it to other photos on the internet.
Mm-hmm, that's
like
what
any
I thought.
Sort of AI.
Yeah. So you could save yourself, you know, I paid for it. I got the pro edition. I don't remember what it was.
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah, so I have it for another few months. That was last year I had it, and I thought, I was like, wow, this is gonna be so great. Take it to the gem show. And nah, it was not what I needed it for. It's more for like if for fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like then they were trying to say, "Oh, you could find a rock and then it's you can sell it." And I'm like, that's that's kind of optimistic. Very optimistic. Like it's how is that even possible? All right, that's big enough. All right, we didn't even get into hardly any of this color shifting, but like I said, one of my tricks is using clears and balancing the clears by using a cool or a warm on either side of it. And it's kind of a trick. It's not really a trick. It's like that the way light goes through things, you know? It's like the refraction. Oh, our friend June. Hey June. All right, so I just made a knot on that. Kind of a I don't know the name of that kind of knot. Just like a regular half hitch, I guess they call it. Tighten it up, but I put it underneath so it doesn't slide around. So it's underneath this knot and between that, so it's not going anywhere. And I'm going to do another one. I usually do it like this. I'll make a loop, this, so I'm holding it just like that so I don't go anywhere. Come in from this side and just go around it. It's the easiest thing. And then tight. You don't want that to be loose, loosey-goosey. Alright, that looks pretty good. Okay. And then here's the good part. This is a tool. I got this from Kate. She turned me onto this. Thread Zip 2. They make another thing for wax work, but it has a plug thing that you can, use it on wax. But that consistent heat is too hot for me. Way too hot. So I use this just for this purpose. So you string that through. This stuff can be replaced if it gets old. So you can put a drop of fray check on the knot and let it dry and then go in and do this. So then it's all like tidy. But here's what I do. So I hold my fingers like this and it's like a little arch, right? Got my thumb ready to push down, and what you don't want to do is not pay attention very closely to this, because if you do it wrong, you could cut your whole thing. You could cut not only the wrong thread, but you could cut the loop off if you're not watching what you're doing. So I'm going to get ready. It's hovering. I'm going to push down on the button. It's warming up. Boom. And then you can take that little thing and kind of blend it in a little bit. And then push down a little. Sometimes if I'm really feeling it, I'll get a pair of pliers and smash that knot. Because you want it to be sealed. It could be more sealed, so I see that little edge. And I'm just gonna flatten it against the other side. My nightmare is that what I've done is I've basically melted it flush and then it just pops off. That's what I don't want to happen. So I'll probably go over that with a little bit of fray check. You could also use a bead cover if you don't like that little bump. Kind of looks like a seed bead. You can't really even see it. Okay, so that's one side. Alright, now this is finely dried. I'm going to trim off that thing that I tried to unsuccessfully melt to avoid having to get the fray check out. Now you see, no melting, no burning of the fingers. It's ready to go. I can put whatever bead I want. I'm going to pick one of those really good sunstones. It's not going to surprise anybody that good quality beads are more expensive than cheapo ones. Like these were really good. So juicy. Look how just succulent that one is. I don't want Teddy to get his head dirty.
He's not. He's sitting on my phone.
I know I'm so particular about that teddy bear. Okay, so then I'm going to put that through. I've got a bead. I'm going to feed it right back through. If you wanted to be real particular, you could knot this or do macrame knots to make it look extra. I didn't do that. No one's going to see it, so. I mean, you could do it if you wanted to. Okay, so you want to get it down to the spot. This is kind of a danger zone area because sometimes the, the coin, the metal, can be sharp. And if it's sharp, it can cut your C-line or S-line, depending on where you got it. Okay, so here's how the full thing is going to look. Okay, it has to clear, or otherwise it's not going to work good, you know. So that's what the full look will be when I tie this on. Alright. So I have this little spacer. Thankfully that was there. I can wind this through there. And that'll hide all those knots. That. So if that were knotted, that'd look even better. You could actually go through and do a few. It would look more professional and finished. Or if this were Sundance catalog, they would have cut that thing off and made a loop and added leather. That's what that would have been. So all I have to do now is knot this off. And knot it like I did the other one. Other side, I mean. I'm not tightening up too prematurely, because sometimes you might have to move things around and make sure that everything is the right. Yeah. And then tighten it. There we go. Looks pretty good. I'm going to double it again. No reason not to. Got plenty of line.
This is going to be the most decadent bear sweater anybody's ever seen.
Sounds good.
Teddy's going to love it and be cuddly extra.
I was going to name him Humphrey.
That's cute.
Because he seems like he would be a good Humphrey.
That's cute.
Okay, we're going to do this thread zapping again. Thread it through. I like to, it's so particular, but I like to thread it where the button's on top. In theory, sometimes I'll knot the heck out of it if I feel like it needs it. If it starts to get slow, that means you need to change the batteries. Like if it takes forever to heat up. I'm just burning this right now. And if you burn it, it makes a horrendous smell. Yeah, you can't, I mean, it's such a small, tiny amount. You can barely even. But it's pretty, it doesn't smell great. But, it kind of reminds me of like burning, a little bit like burnt sugar, a little bit. But you can see how it turns black right here. All you do for that, and it gets kind of crusty, it won't work as well. So all you have to do is take a paper towel and turn it on and let it heat up and then wipe it really good. And then that's gone. Or we can use my notebook here and I'll see if that works. Put the notebook. Is it doing it? It's not heating it up. Usually I get that thing going. No, it's not hot enough. You can see it there, the little piece is about to come loose. If you do it too aggressively, you might break it. So it's a very thin, skinny wire. I just need to get a paper towel. I just don't have one handy. Anthea says, does it melt the thread? Yes. Yes, it does. It melted it.
Oh, you got to be so tender.
You've got to be...
On accident.
Azalea's cut off her pieces.
That happened one time.
I've done it more than once because, you know, sometimes you get distracted or I don't know what happens.
That is the moment to lock in so hard.
That is the lock-in moment.
The lock-in moment.
That's what happened right here. Oh, she wants me to feel the progress. Oh, that looks good.
That's probably it's like another little cardigan.
Oh, so you got a little garter stitch going.
And there's buttonholes in the front, or there will be.
Charming. So charming.
That makes a good fabric. Soft.
So let's try it on and see if I did a good job.
Oh, it's cute. The sun. Protect him, bud.
Get in there. There it goes. I made that just right. Boy, I tell you. That couldn't have been any... If I didn't put enough beads, boy, that would not have fit me. You know what looks good too? And I've done this on my other pieces. I will... Sometimes if I need more on one side, I'll do the same treatment. So then it's on this side. And it'll give it a little more length. Say you don't make your neck... You don't knot enough beads. And you don't have... Like you've left the tail on... You could do this and knot that on, and that's a good way to kind of counterbalance if you make something too short. Sometimes knotting and like things where you can't go back, you kind of have to get creative with how your measurement goes, because there's even if you make a swatch, as we know, just like with knitting and crochet, sometimes your tension, which is how you knot in between, or the amount of thread you're using is a little bit different, and so it might not line up. And unless you keep perfect tension every time, if you knot, you're going to run into that. So that's one thing to look for, is your tension. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of this, talk about this a little bit more without all this stuff in the way. And it took me a little longer than I expected. I don't know why it is when I'm working with someone else, how I've got the lead is completely out. Oh, thank you, Nancy. She says, so pretty. Nice. And then Azalea, Wendy says, cute, nice work. Yeah, Azalea's good at knitting. She's getting where she's surpassing me all the time with her sewing and knitting. Originally, when I made this blend, and I was kind of concerned because I was like, it's kind of expensive because some of the strands in here, like this one, or no, that's not, oh, that is the citrine. Citrine can be expensive if it's like AAA grade with that nice color, because sometimes it can be a little bit on the pale side, or treated, and treated is where it looks like, I don't know how to describe the color. It doesn't look very real, I guess. It's like kind of otherworldly. When I designed this, you know what I was thinking about? Obviously corn. This is a corn piece. I made this for my friend Jess. She likes to take these to the Minnesota show because apparently corn is big there. So I made that corny piece for her. And with this, I was thinking about making a necklace. This is what my own thoughts on this were. Like to start it with these little smalls. These 3 or 4, I don't know what millimeter, 3 or 4 millimeter. If I can get a hold of them. They're avoiding my fingers. That's what I was thinking. Like I'd do a little bit of something like that, and then gradually get a little bit larger. And maybe do it almost like a pulse of cool and then warm, cool and then warm. Yeah, this is a kind of that gray brown moonstone rides the line of a neutral that can look warm when it's around these beads, but then cool when it's around those. It's kind of neat. It's like a shapeshifter. These brown hessonites will always be in the warm family though. Same with sunstone. Some of these are just naturally, they hit on the color wheel. They are in that fire category. And it's not like with reds and pinks. where it's like you can have a red that's, this is that resin bracelet. Let me see if that shows. Like this red here can be a little on the plummy side, meaning there's a tiny bit of blue happening, which there is. Wendy says, they are pretty corny in Minnesota. I lived there for 3.5 years. I always love doing the shows over there. It's a good time. This is yellowed quite a bit though, so this is an old resin bangle that I made many years ago. And I was trying to use it to illustrate that, but you know, since you're looking through a layer, this started as a clear, but seeing it through some of the colors, you can get that kind of opalescence when you do that. When you have a bluish color under another that's warm, you can get kind of a neat opalescent effect. It's kind of neat. Anyway, I was saying, when you do a color shift, keep in mind the temperature of your colors, because that can affect your color shift, because having something that's near those blues will have the effect where it reads as a blue cool side. And if you have more like this same color here next to these guys, see here it's the same, but here it reads as a warm, even though it's a gray. So your grays can be your friend. And it's just like in painting, you can't have full color all the time, because all your colors will have the same like temperature and value, which means that you're going to get kind of muddy patterning. And I can show that even more. I think I'll just try and wrap it up soon. Oh, I forgot to send this to my friend Sarah. So here, this is a pretty good example of that. Where here we have, this is straight up complementary yellow purple. So on this end, it's looking very cool, right? So cool. Even though I made this tone with burnt sienna and a little bit of alizarin crimson and white to make that, it reads cooler because of the surrounding areas are cool. They're blues. And that while this is more of a hot, the pigment itself, I was going to show that. Oh, wow, I set my doll in my paint. Smart, Thorny. So this color, this red, is actually a very cool red, because there's no, in this one it's not from like a cadmium red light with like a more orangey. It's actually more of an alizarin crimson, but it's a blend, meaning they took two reds to make that color. And if you were to test it, let's see, it reads as a pink, see. And this is considered, I can't remember the name of that pink. But anyway, you can see this is a very cool color as far as pink and red are concerned. If you were to add a tiny bit of yellow to that, you would get a nice, you would instantly make that more orangey and warm it up, which is what's happening here, right in there. And that's like how temperature can affect color. Going up here, it's cooler, and it seems like it's getting colder. It's like when you look at a sunset, and down this way, when it's closer to the sun, you're getting a warmer tone, even though these are basically, that's the same paint. The beads are kind of the same way. They're not, nothing is changing color. It's what's next to it and what's the surrounding color will affect how the overall piece will look. So hopefully I explained that in a way that wasn't, you know, where I'm confusing my own self. So, all right, I'm gonna flip this. Okay. All right, that was pretty fun. So I finished up that bracelet. It only took me an hour. That wasn't that long. And we talked about some color theory. You then realized why it takes flipping forever to do a knotted bracelet that has teeny beads as opposed to something that has great big beads. I think it actually took longer to knot the seed bead portion of the bracelet than the whole thing. Because it's, you know, you're still knotting, it's just on a smaller scale. All right, friends. That was a little tidbit trick on how to make some color work for you. So remember, what's next to it will impact the whole look of those individual beads. So if you're doing a color shift, look at the beads next to it, you know, give it that, you know, you can alter it and make it flow really well into a beautiful color shift. Oh, thank you, Wendy. That's my friend dyed that. Rough and Tumble. Minnesota. I was gonna say it's a Minnesota brand, but you know what? They're not. They're just set up at the Minnesota Fair. She died from, and her name is Wendy. It's fun. Yeah, I love these. She dyes my. I collect these. What I call them asymmetrical ponchos, and it's like, man, it's like this t-shirt material, and I use them to cover up my arms when I'm driving because I do not like to get too much sun. So, because I burn easily nowadays, I don't know. But anyway, thank you all for joining me on this wonderful Wednesday evening, and join me this Friday. We're going to have a Sundance party, and it's going to be pretty good. Softflex is supposed to be there. I think my friend Deb said Deb Flores is supposed to come. And I'm not sure who else is joining us that day. It might just be the three of us, but you know what? Then that's more time to have, you know, to chat and have fun and see what each person's making. And Kristen is very creative. You know, I always love seeing what she makes. It's always inspiring to make jewelry. So get your kit out, and I believe it's this Friday at 8. There's a post floating around, and I will make sure that gets shared again. I think we tucked that into a newsletter, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. So if you guys want to join us on Friday evening, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I have some cool beads I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with some leather. And I'm going to use Softflex with it and join those two to make kind of a rustic, sort of polished yet not sort of piece. Something you'd wear to Tucson or something, you know? All right, friends, I will see you again. We will be also going live on Sunday at 7. So I'll see you then, and then we'll be in Fresno, and we have a whole week of fun activities planned. So just keep that in mind. We're also going to be doing the giveaway for our 1-year anniversary for the Greengirlstudios gang. So that's taking place real soon. All right, friends, we'll see you then. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Love you all out there.